get started again. This is so bad. So hello everyone. I'm Eric. Welcome to my Sunday live stream. And today I'm going to talk about my teaching history. But before we start, guys, how are you today? Did you have a good week? Oh, you did? I've got the bell icon on. I don't think I saw it. Okay, I'll definitely watch it after this video and give you a comment. Thanks for letting me know. How about you, Ika? You doing well? Actually, so this week has been very busy because it's the end of the year. So the students are writing their final tests. So we've had to do a lot of grading, marking, and we had to do all the paperwork, the attendance. And yeah, it's just been very busy. I've also had a friend visiting me. I haven't seen him in a long time, so we were hanging out. So it's been difficult to post any content. Yeah, it's always nice to see your name there. Actually, I feel really bad because this is the first Wednesday I didn't post a video. And, you know, I could blame many things. I could say, yes, I've been busy with school or with work, but and there was also a fact, I shot a video and then I lost the file. But, you know, the only person I can blame for that is this guy right here, you know, and I had the time. I know I could have posted something, but I just didn't feel it. So, yeah, so tonight is my live stream and I promise, pinky swear, to have a really good video for you on Wednesday. It's going to be all about New Year's resolutions for students. I've got some activities that I talk about, and hopefully it's a very good video that you can use in the classroom. Yeah, today I'm going to actually talk about my teaching history. And I think it's a very fitting topic because it's almost the end of the year and it allows me to look back, you know, to see where it all started, and also to reflect on my own teaching and think about how I could do it. So before we start, let me ask you a question. When did you guys start teaching? I know you've got a lot of experience. You know, you can just sense it from another teacher that they've worked very hard at something. So my question for the audience, and I'm going to ask it a few times, is let us know, when did you first start teaching? Oh yeah. Your first time seeing me live? Well, welcome. Yeah, it's so nice to see. Actually, I do a live stream every Sunday. I love it because it gives me a chance to practice talking live. In my other videos, I do so much editing. So here's actually a chance for me to practice and talk to you guys too. And if you have any ideas, any topics you want to talk about, please let me know in the comments. I love just talking with you. Eco's been here a while. I love talking to Eco too. Yeah, so actually, during the week, another viewer, Bushra, I asked her, are there any videos that you would like to see? And she said, yes, Eric, I would like to know about your experience, your teaching history. And I thought, wow, that's a great video to talk about tonight. So tonight I'm going to talk about Young. Nice to see you. When did you start teaching? I know Young, I know when she started teaching, and I think she's going to become an amazing teacher soon. Yeah, so yeah, guys, just post your comments, talk about when did you start teaching, and I'll start my story of how I became this teacher that I am today. Well, actually, it started, let's see, I wrote it down here. I matriculated. So in South Africa, you get your matric when you're 18, and I matriculated when I was in 2003. For 1 year, I studied computer science, but it was basically a year I took off. And then in 2005, I enrolled at the Northwest University. It's a big university in my hometown. It's very well known in South Africa, and it's got a campus especially for teachers. So I started there, and how it works is when you study teaching in South Africa is you get the 3 phases. You get the younger learners, the beginners, and then you get your intermediate teachers, and then your senior teachers. Hi, yeah, at them. And so I studied intermediate and senior. That means that I teach specifically to elementary level students and high level students. Well, thank you. Yeah, it's well, in South Africa it's well known, but I don't think it's that well known worldwide. Yeah, so I started there for 2 years. That was 2005 and 2006. I stayed there with my brother and on my own. I started studying teaching. And I think, I learned a lot, but I wasn't happy with the course. Let me explain why. So what happens is you choose a subject that you're going to focus on. And my subject that I focused on, my learning area, was English. So I studied that, but all teachers have to learn the basics of all the subjects. And I thought that's fine, because you don't want a teacher that, doesn't know a lot about everything. So we had to study the basics of every single subject so that, as teachers, we also grow. It's that whole idea of being lifelong learners and holistic development of the teachers. So we studied all the subjects and it was basic, so I enjoyed it. The problem in South Africa, though, is that not many people continue studying maths at a higher level or science. Fortunately, I continued studying science, maths, and computer engineering at high school. So when I studied teaching, those subjects were really easy to me. I thought, oh well, these are the fundamentals. But except if you studied maths, a lot of teachers struggled with it, and I was very surprised at that. And a lot of the subjects, I didn't feel like they focused enough on how to teach. Like they would teach a lot of like the ideas and stuff and the subjects themselves, but I feel like there should have been more importance on how we should teach and also given us more instruction on how to control the classroom. But they would tell us theories, but these professors, they didn't have a proper way of explaining how to teach it. Even my subject, like I studied teaching, and the teachers basically they would just go through old war poems and books, and instead of saying, okay guys, this is how you teach this is the grammar, they would just hand us the books and say, okay, write an essay about that. And is that really what you want to learn as a teacher? I don't think so. So I was very unhappy with that because I felt like I wasn't prepared to teach that. Look, I think I improved as an English learner, right? Because I had to study all these concepts and I knew it better. But I was wholly unprepared when I walked into a classroom the first time. So because what happens is, so you study for the year and then you also have to go and do practicals at schools. So you would get a month that you have to go to a school and actually teach there and learn from teachers. And from those practicals, I learned a lot because you actually in the field. Okay, so that was me at university. I was studying teaching. I wasn't very happy with the whole way that they taught us to be teachers, right? How about you guys? Sorry, I'm just rambling on. Where did you guys study? Did you feel like you were well prepared to be a teacher? Do you feel like there are some things that you would have liked to do differently? Feel free to put it in the comments below. So after those 2 years, I thought, you know what? I'm tired of being a student. I need to make money. I don't want to live off my parents my whole life. And I knew that if I just sit at university, I'm not learning enough. I'm not learning how to be a better teacher. So my goal was to get into a school and start experiencing it. Now, many people might actually criticize me and say, Eric, it's necessary, do the full course and you can learn a lot afterwards, you can become a teacher. But I think the one good thing I thought is I'm going to learn more by doing. I'm going to learn more by actually going out into the field and teaching. Right? What do you guys think? Do you think that's the right call? I feel like in my life, that was one of the decisions I was most proud of because I do feel that was the right decision. Maybe it's not for everyone because what I did, so I studied for 2 years on campus. And then there's a special program called SBE, School-Based Education. They would take students, and you can work at a school and earn a very small salary while you studied on the internet, and then you would only go in and write the test. And I thought, this is a great, this is what I need. I can work at I can work at a school, I can get experience, and at the same, I can get used to the structures, used to the students. I would be ahead of my peers that are still studying at university. And that's what I did. I went onto this program, SBE. I went to another town called Rustenburg. It's about 2 hours away from my university, and I lived with my aunt, Olga. And I have to say, I am so grateful to my aunt for 2 years that she let me stay at her place. Because what happened the very first year is I went to school part-time, and I would help out, and I would learn a little bit. I earned basically nothing. I remember my first salary was 3,000 Rand. It's like $300. $300 a month. I had to have a car, I had to eat. Fortunately, my aunt didn't ask me to pay rent, otherwise, how could I survive? But the school didn't care. They had an extra pair of hands to help out if they needed someone. Okay, so the first year was tough, but I didn't do too much. The second year, the principal called me into the office, and she said, Eric, would you like to get a job as a teacher? Of course, we'll pay you more, but you'll have more responsibilities at the same time. And obviously, I'm just thinking, man, I need money. I can't just live as a student. I need to start working. Also, on the other side, I thought that, I could also get more experience by running my very first class. And a little background on the school. This is an English school in South Africa. It was perhaps 60-70% black, and then 30% white, many Indians too. So it's very multicultural. But it's also very tough. The discipline in the school wasn't as good as it should have been. And for me, a new teacher, I didn't even graduate. I think it was my fourth year. So I had to teach full classes. They gave me 3 different subjects to teach. They gave me my own home room with 35 students in. And it's not easy. It's like, if it was a school where discipline was very good, I would have been like, yeah, that's easy, just do my job. But I had difficult students. I had many subjects. I still had to do my studying. I had to write tests. And in South Africa, what they also do is they also give you sports to coach. So you work from 7:30 to 2:30, and then afterwards you're also expected to do coaching, athletics when it's athletic season, cricket season, and then on top of that you would have to attend all these other meetings as a student. And I was getting, and this time they doubled my salary. They gave me 6,000 Rand, $600 to work full time and to study at the same time. Thinking back on it, I think, yeah, I was young and I completed it, but it was super tough. Not only the studies, but, just the mental stress I had to go through from working in the school where it's very difficult. I didn't think I was going to talk this long about it, but I want to emphasize how much I actually went through. I'm fine now, I'm happy. I think I'm stronger because of that experience. But I don't think many people could have gone through that, because even grown-up teachers working with me were just, would sitting there smoking in the teachers' area. I remember we had this small garden. All the teachers would go there, and they would be chain smoking, saying, I don't want to be in that class for that anymore. Yeah, it's I think back on it, and I had a good time. I felt like I learned a lot, but the biggest stress was just going into that classroom, especially I remember I had a grade 4 class, and I had a couple of students that were just so naughty. Back then I thought, I come from this very strict upbringing in South Africa. A lot of students are brought up in you have to follow what your teacher says, and you would get spanked when I was young. Now suddenly I'm in this multicultural environment where there are a lot of naughty students because, maybe they don't get enough attention at home, or, there's some bullying going on. And now I'm a new teacher in that environment, getting paid 6,000 Rand. And I want to come back to this economic thing. I got paid $600 for all that, all that stress and all that work. The principal didn't think about it twice. They thought, here, I've got an extra teacher. I can pay them basically nothing. I had to survive with basically nothing. And I thought, now thinking back on it, how horrible is that? What did she think? Did she think, oh, well, you know what, poor guy, let's take care of him? No, she thought of the bottom line. She thought, I can make money, I can spend it on other resources. And yes, you have to think about it, but that shows a lack of care for teachers. That says that your teachers come second best. Yeah, it was really difficult at that school, but I made it and I learned a lot. After that, I said, okay, enough of this. I need to get out of here. And I remember at the end of the year, I started driving around to the capital city of South Africa is called Pretoria. So I drove to Pretoria. My brother lives there, him and his wife. And I said, okay, well, I'll live with you guys and I'll go to schools and hand out, my CV. And fortunately, I remember I went to the school, and it's called Monument Park. I went in and I interviewed with the vice principal, the vice principal, and he looked very strict at the time, and he said, okay, well, Eric, we will take you. This is my first proper job now. So, okay, first 2 years on campus, university. Second 2 years at a really difficult school, and I got paid peanuts. And now my first actual year, I decided, okay, I'm going to go to a new school. It's only Afrikaans, so it's a similar culture to me. The students have, they come from a better family, so they, they're used to that discipline. And I went into this school, and they said, okay, we'll give you a job, we'll pay you double that you got at the last school, and you work in the school where everything was just run very well. Parents were very caring, but I went into the school with this mindset. Of my previous year was hell. So I'm going to start off not smiling. I went into that classroom and I just had this deathly stare. I was so mean. And not just mean. I didn't smile. I was very strict. And I don't think it was necessary for me to be that strict. But I am happy that I went through that. Because what do many teachers tell you? When you first start teaching, they say, okay, don't smile before Christmas, And I went in with that mentality is, I'm never going to let students, disrespect me like that again. I'm never going to let things get out of control. I'm going to stay on them. I remember I was so strict, and the kids were very nice. They would be a little bit naughty, but I would be very strict. Not crazy strict, but very strict. Like, I remember these two boys, they were just friendly boys, and they left my class. They didn't push in their chairs. I had this whole method of starting my class, and I'm like, go call them, bring them back. Boys, what is this class? Is it, so they came back from another class because they changed classes. They came back, and I said, boys, is this a zoo? You're just going to leave your chairs like that? Like, oh, sorry, sir. I'm like, okay, next time, don't do that again. That's just an example of what I did. And I think, I'm grateful I went through that experience, but I also shut myself off from actually making a lot of close relationships with my students. And also I had this expression. So it was difficult for me to get close with a lot of the teachers because they thought, who is this guy? He's never smiling. He might stab someone. I don't know what they thought, but yeah, perhaps they didn't like me. But I want to tell you about the most amazing experience that I had at the school. I told you that we had to do sports, and in South Africa, rugby is a fantastic sport. And at the school, they gave me my first rugby team to coach. These tiny boys, they were 9 years old, and I had to teach them rugby. I had all their parents and dads and everyone around me. And I just grew to love these kids, because at school with the other grades, I would be very strict. And then, when I got to the sports field, these kids would just run to me and give me hugs. And, it really made me so happy to be part of that community. And I learned a lot from that too. And I think in another video, I'll tell you about that. But let's continue with that. Yeah, rapport is so important. I think you should first, and this, I'm going to make a video about this, Roberto. I'm going to talk about frame. As a person, you should be in control of your frame. When you're the teacher, you're the power in the classroom. You should have this frame of, I'm in control, I'm the leader of this class. But you should also be able to create rapport with your students so that they care. And I feel like that's something, that balance of creating relationships, but also being in control of the teaching frame, the class, is something that when you become more experienced, that's what you get used to. And that's what I feel like I'm working towards, is finding that balance of being in control and also, making friends with my students, to show I care. Right, so that was my experience in South Africa, and since then I just said, Eric, you got to leave. I felt so stuck. I said, I got to get out of here. This is 2010, and I researched. I told the school. I remember the principal asked me, Eric, what do you want? What do you want to stay in? I said, there's nothing you can do. I loved my time at the school, but I need to leave. I need to go somewhere. And I researched, and I found South Korea is a really good place to go. They respect teachers, and you can also earn a good salary. So in 2010, I remember the last couple of months before I came, I gained so much weight at my last school because I would just eat. I didn't exercise. And before I came to Korea, I lived with my parents and I just ate my mom's food. So I came to Korea, I was a little chubby, and I started work at a language academy. Now, in Korea, here's how it works. You get a language academy. That's where most foreign teachers go. You get public schools. Then you get some companies that run after-school classes. And then you get your business. Hi, Sarah. How you doing? I can see it's a Korean student, Ji-hyun. Hi, Ji-hyun. How are you today? Yeah, guys, how are you today? Sorry, I'm just telling my story. Feel free to pop in some things that you want to talk about. I enjoy talking to you, and I feel like it's just me blabbing on. This is already going longer than I thought, but I do enjoy telling the story. I hope you enjoy listening to it. I'm skipping a lot of parts, but yeah, thank you so much for being with me on this. Okay, so where was I? In Korea, I started my first year at a language academy. It was in a small city called Masan. It's down in the south. So in Korea, you've got Seoul, which is the largest city, and you get Busan and Daegu, a couple of large cities. And down south, there's a small city called Masan. And I started in this language academy. And I remember my mindset going in. I thought, I've got a teaching degree. I've taught before. I know everything. Went into this classroom and I said, I'm a teacher. I'm going to teach. Boom, day one, I was just knocked off. I got there and suddenly it's chaos. There are kids running, coming into the class. You've got 8 to 10 students and you've got to run through the grammar. I also had this preconception of how to teach English. I thought, okay, everyone, we should do writing, we should do this. But they gave me the school curriculum. And very soon I realized that, my job there is, yes, I can teach grammar and things. But for me, it's more to get the students engaged and to get them talking, So very quickly I realized, Eric, you are in a different world. This isn't normal education. And you aren't a teacher. You had one good year and you've had this experience where you learned, but there are so many other unique challenges to teaching. So I came to this Hagwon, and at first I was horrible. I bet you some of the other teachers complained about me. You came to a coin room, Noribang? Did you go singing? Ah, a coin room. Yeah, I think a coin room, that's Noribang, right? A karaoke room. Uh, well, welcome to join us, Sarah. So, I worked at the Hog One, and at first I was horrible. Guys, did you ever have that experience where you started something and you were so, confident, and then you realize that you're nothing, that you're not ready? So, anyway, so I started, it was very difficult, but I started picking up how to use the students. I started employing routines, playing games, getting the students working. And very soon, I feel like a couple of months in, suddenly I started getting used to it. Working with the kids, working with younger kids, keeping them entertained. The older students coming in, I got, I learned about their lives. I used their lives for them to talk about the material. And very soon I felt like I was quite confident walking into the class. But working at a language school, you had very little time. Yeah, how did it happen to you, Roberto? Did you also work like the first time you started working? It was very tough, and then you had to learn? Please put it in the comments. I'll read it now. Yeah, so what happened was I started, I became very confident and I got used to it. And it was also fun because I felt very confident. But working at that school, you've got very little vacation and you can't get sick because that's a business. You have to keep the kids happy. It's not like you're at a school and the kids can get, there's discipline for it. There is discipline, but it's more like a family style environment because the students are your customers. They have to come in. And after that, I was suddenly at the end of my contract and they said, Eric, do you want to resign? And I just thought, man, I learned a lot, but I need to get away. I'm in the middle of nowhere. I'm not earning a great salary. I don't have any vacation. My life sucks. I lived in this small box. But still, I didn't know where to go. I didn't want to go back to South Africa. So a friend of mine, he was finishing his job too. He was working at, so 2010, I came to Korea. 2011, I started a new job at an after-school job. Now, this job was really good because you work from 1 to 5, because you only teach after school at a school. So it's a company that offers classes to students at the school, but it isn't the school itself. So I would go in, I would teach, and I would have a lot of freedom, in the morning and at night. And it was good. I really enjoyed my students. I really liked them. But once again, I had zero vacation. And once the year finished, the company said, sorry, have a nice time, goodbye. Very professional. But I remember I worked with a crazy, my boss was just this really strict person. Like we never met, but when we did, she would be, very strict and not nice to work with. Okay. So after that, went back to South Africa. I said, okay, well, back to South Africa now. I need to do something else. I applied for jobs, and this was in the first half of the year. Wow, this video is going on so long. Sorry, guys. It's just me rambling for 30 minutes. And I'm almost at the end. Maybe still another 10 minutes. I hope you guys don't mind. So I was in South Africa. I was researching, applying for jobs, and then suddenly I got a job in South Korea, in Busan. And it's a public school job, which is great because thanks for listening still, Jiang. So, give me a second. I'm just going to drink some water. I've still got a bit of a cold. Drinking medicine, but it's getting better. Okay, so I got a job at a public school. Public schools are great because it's for the government, so you're protected and you've got more vacation, and it counts more towards your resume that you've got experience at a public school. And this was really special because once this was in the middle of the year, so it was a very strange time to get a job. It was 3 months into the public school year, and that was strange. So I came to South Korea, and I was told by my recruiter, he said, Eric, you've got the most experience, so you get the best job. And there was a newly built high school, science high school called Busan Il Science High School. And this was fantastic. So in Busan, it's a very big, the second largest city in South Korea. They've got Busan Science High School, but too many of the students stayed in that area in the eastern part of the city. They wanted to open up a school in the western side to, even it out. So the government spent millions of dollars to build this beautiful school in a mountain, and they needed an English teacher. And what happened was they got an English teacher to go there, but he suddenly disappeared. He didn't go to the school. I have no idea what happened to him. So they had to find a replacement. Learning center. I thought I was very... Oh, it's tough, but that's how you learn, these difficult situations. So Roberto just said that he worked with 11 students and he had to stand in front of the class and he wasn't prepared. Man, that's the worst thing. But, afterwards, after you go through that horrible experience, you learn something. You learn that you have to be more prepared, or you've got these ideas of what to use. And also, I feel like our use of time and our creativity improve because of these stressful experiences, right? So I wouldn't wish that on anyone. I wish more teachers would be prepared. But unfortunately, a lot of schools don't prepare us well enough. A lot of universities. Like, I'm very unhappy with the education I received at university, and I hope I get some kind of backlash and people saying, Eric, you didn't study well or you didn't do it well, because I would really like to talk about that. And that's something I'm interested in. Anyway, so I went to this high school and it was fantastic. Great teachers. The students were the smartest students. And I came in there, you had all the technology to use. And I stayed there for 4 years, living in Busan at the school, teaching. And it was a great experience. I would go hiking in the mountain and I would learn a lot from my students that were fantastic, and also the other teachers. And I thought, okay, Eric, you need to move on with your life now. After 4 years, I think it was 3.5 years, I thought, okay, Eric, let's try and move up. Because obviously, you want to improve in your life. You want to start doing better things. And we've got to constantly start thinking, what is the next level? We don't quit. As humans, don't stagnate, don't stay in the same place. Always think, what is next? What should I be doing next? You should always be working towards something. And I'm so happy I had that idea in my head, because I thought, okay, what's the next level? University teaching. And I applied to many universities. There you go, Chris. Welcome. So nice. Chris is also a professor at the university I teach at. It's so lovely to have you. His wife and son might be going to England soon. He's also going to England to visit his mom. I hope you guys have a fantastic time. His wife also has a YouTube channel about cooking. Chinese mom in Korea. Right? Fantastic channel. I really like it because she teaches me a lot about cooking. Okay, so I applied for a job at a university, went on a couple of interviews. I'll tell you about those interviews in the future. And I got accepted at my university. It said Catholic University of Daegu. It's a city in the center of Korea. I'll tell you about that interview later. It's fantastic. Very, very interesting story. And they told me that my boss, Professor Yo, took me aside and said, Eric, if you want the job, I'll give it to you. And I was just, you go to an interview and you're like so stressed. And she tells you, Eric, you've got the job. And I'm like, I was so happy. I go back to school and I try and get my papers ready. And I find out, because you need 4 years of teaching experience to get a job at a university. And because I started 3 months earlier, I only had 3 years 9 months experience. And she called me and she said, I'm sorry, Eric, it's not possible. And my heart just, I was just blown away because, you know, this is something you wanted to reach. It's that next level. And they tell you, Eric, it's gone. You can't do it. You don't have enough experience. You're missing it by 3 months. And I was devastated. I thought, man, you know what now? This is what I wanted. Now I've got to wait another year. And yeah, that's what I did. I started with my studies, my master's degree earlier. I said, Eric, well, you know what? You're going to have to do this extra year. And yeah, I went back to school. I worked hard, I studied, and I completed that year. And then I looked for work again because maybe the university would hire someone else. And I went for a couple of interviews, and they said they were hiring again, and they called me in. And I remember I went for the interview again, you know, my second interview at the university after getting it a year previously. And I went in, and I remember, I think this time I was kind of confident because I knew, you know, well, I got hired the first time, I couldn't make it. But I actually think my answers were a lot worse. And I remember afterwards, after the interview, Professor Yo came to me. They still had a few to see. Chinese mom abroad, there we go. Alimin, you must be so excited for going to England. I'm going to miss you, but I hope you and your son have a fantastic time there. I'm looking forward to seeing more of your videos. Yeah, so Professor Yo, after that second interview, she came out and said, Eric, would you like the job? And that's where I am today. I've been here at the university for 3 years now. I really enjoy it. It gives me a lot of time to think about things and to work on some things. And yeah, I've worked there for 2 years, and then I started this channel. It'll be a year on February that I started the channel. And yeah, guys, thanks to you guys, I'm continuing. That's it. It's almost 13 years teaching experience, 3 years primary school in South Africa that were really difficult. Thank you. How's your channel doing? I'm going to give you a shout out soon. I've got a lesson planned. I have to shoot it. I've been promising for a while. In that video, I'm going to give you a shout out, of course, because, man, I really enjoyed that night we ate at your place. So yeah, guys, 3 years primary school. That was the worst teaching experience, but it's also probably the ones that made me grow the most as a teacher. Then I came to South Korea, academy, after school. 4 years and 9 months at a science high school with in fantastic conditions, and finally 3 years at university. Yeah, guys, and now, you know, what's next? I think next week I'll do another video on what'll be next. I just want to say thank you so much for watching. Please, in the comments, tell me about your teaching experience. You know, what did you do? Where did you go? What is the proudest moments? I know I'm just giving you random things, but whatever you want to talk about in your teaching experience, please put it in the comments below. Everyone, we're almost at the end of the year. Roberto, thank you for staying the whole time. I'm going to watch that video of yours soon. And Limin, I'll check out yours too soon. Guys, yeah, thank you so much for joining me. Put your comments down below. And Wednesday, new video. And I will say goodbye. I think, what's today? Yeah, next week it's almost New Year, and I look forward. Next week I'll talk about my plans for the year going forward. Everyone have a fantastic week. Good luck. Merry Christmas if I don't see you. But yeah, have a blessed day, and I'll see you next time. Guys, this is Eric, and I'll see you all next time. Thank you for listening, Juyang. I really appreciate it. yeah, Roberto, have a good time. Limin, 안녕.